Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And we have another brand new UFC event this upcoming weekend, UFC Mexico City, UFC Mexico. I don't know what they're calling it, but it is in Mexico City, Mexico. And in the main event, the number 2 ranked flyweight Brandon Reno takes on the number 8 ranked Steve Erceg. We're going to be giving our thoughts on every fight on that card. I certainly have my thoughts on that main event, so stay tuned for that on today's episode. As well, we're going to be discussing the Sweet 16. I was hoping to get our March Madness review out before the games began, but unfortunately, my life is super chaotic, super busy, and super spontaneous, which I would not change it for anything in the world, and I was unable to record it yesterday. I guess I could record Tuesday, but they always change up the fights, so I never know when to actually record my predictions, but we're going to be discussing March Madness on today's card as well. On today's episode, whatever you want to call it. Also have a movie review, some new UFC fights. We got a lot of fun stuff going on. Guys, I actually am in a competition tomorrow for agriculture and business. That's right. I was invited since I'm the marketing student of the year, since I'm the top jog, since I'm good at presenting, and we are in a competition and we could potentially win $1,500 each for me and my 3 amigos. So really hoping I do well performing that and the judges think that we win. I could really use that money before I go on a big trip coming up. But whatever God decides, I will be A-okay with. I'm just blessed to get these opportunities. But enough about me, enough about this nonsense. Let's get right on into some new UFC news. And since we last talked, by the way, last time we talked on Monday, episode 175, we had no new UFC fights to share with you. There's nothing to share with you. We still only have 4 new fights. They have not been dropping any bombs lately, but I do think we'll be getting some fun fight announcements coming up. Here's what we do have. First off, for UFC Vegas 106 on May 17th, Luiana Pinheiro, the number 14th ranked women's strawweight, will be taking on the number 15th ranked Tisha Pennington. These 2 women still fighting, still veterans. I got to go with Luiana Pinheiro. I do believe she's the younger by 4 years. Tisha Pennington kind of at the latter stages of her career, and Tisha Pennington fights like her wife, Raquel Pennington, just super boring. I'm not going to say Luiana Pinheiro is the most exciting, but she certainly goes all out for the finish. That'll probably be on the main card or something at UFC Vegas 106. Just another Apex card. Here's a super fun one. UFC Vegas 107, the main event, May 31st. I rarely enjoy female UFC events, especially main events. I'll be tuning in for this one as the number 3 ranked women's flyweight Erin Cold-Blooded Blanchfield takes on the future, the number 4 ranked Macy Barber. I love this. This is who's taking on the winner of Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot. Oh, but you actually got Natalia Silva in there as well. So we got a lot of options in there for the women's flyweight division, but this one, fantastic. I absolutely love this. Kind of sad this is in front of a crowd. I think this one will actually be pretty good. These 2 are just top tier. Macy Barber has been on an absolute tear. Erin Blanchfield was able to rebound from her loss, but beating Rose Namajunas in a co-main event opportunity last November. So I am excited for that one. I'm probably going to back Macy Barber. Been backing her ever since I got into UFC, and I don't even hate Erin Blanchfield. That's the thing. This is a win-win for me. I love both of these ladies, and this should be a good main event, surprisingly to what some people may think. Also on that UFC Vegas 106 card on May 17th, a middleweight matchup between Nursultan Ruzaboyev, infamous for having 37 wins with 35 finishes. Fresh off a win over, I think it was some bum. He beat some irrelevant guy or something, but he's back in the win category. Taking on Dustin Stolfus. Dustin Stolfus back in action. I think he knocked out Marc-Andre Bellew last time out, I should say. He's 3-5 in the UFC. Nursultan is 3-1, and his loss to Joaquin Buckley is aging like fine wine. The fact that Buckley couldn't finish him but finished Colby Covington really says a lot about how tough Nursultan Ruzaboyev is. So that should be a fun fight. That'll probably be on the main card of UFC Vegas 106. I'm supportive of it. And then lastly, the final new matchup we've had announced. This one's for UFC 316, June 7th. Don't have a main event for that yet, but flyweight action. Number 12 ranked Bruno Silva back in action as he takes on the number 14th ranked, my favorite flyweight, Joshua Fearless Van. Absolutely love Josh Van. Dude, we're the same freaking age for 9 days. Isn't that insane? Kid's 23 years old. His birthday is October 10th, 2001. I'm October 1st, 2002. There's a weird 9-day gap where we're the same age, and he's a ranked flyweight. Love Joshua Van. He would be a dream guest on the podcast. I have a lot of dream guests on the podcast. Would love to get Joshua Van on. Dude probably has the craziest knowledge. This one should actually be fun. It gets 2 thumbs up for me. And you already know I'm back at Joshua Van. That should be no surprise to anyone. I am a big supporter of Joshua Van, and he's been improving. Let me just say, last time out was an absolute dog. I'm trying to think, he didn't fight Charles Johnson. Who did he fight? He beat someone last time out, and it was pretty impressive. Joshua Van, he's in the rankings. He'll be back. That's for all our new UFC fights that have been announced, but also what was updated was UFC rankings. So we do have some new UFC rankings to look at after last weekend's event. First off, women's bantamweight division, Melissa Mullins is now in the rankings. What does that do for you? I don't know, but she's now the 15th ranked women's bantamweight. We're just waiting for Kayla Harrison, Julia Pena to get booked. That's about it. Women's flyweight, JJ Aldrich is now in the rankings at number 15. She picked up a win, I think about a week or 2 weeks ago, something like that. And then Casey O'Neill up to 13 and Ariana De Silva to 14. So a couple switches there. Nothing else anywhere else in the women's division or heavyweight. Getting into the men's light heavyweight, as expected, Carlos Ulberg ranked number 3. They bump Han Blachowicz down 2 spots to number 5. Jamal Hill is still ranked number 4. Still don't understand that. Alexander Rakic now ranked number 6. I think Ulberg is probably going to take on Jiri Prochazka next while we wait for that Pereira Magomedov rematch. As for Blachowicz, look, retirement doesn't sound like he wants to do that. So he's got some options. Khalil Roundtree Jr. at number 7. He's got Volkan Ozdemir at number 9. It's pretty much those options. Azamat Murzakanov, if he gets a win in his next fight, we'll have to see, but I don't know what's left for him. He's 42. He's made it to the top of the stage. I saw him in his prime back in 2020, 2019, 2021. He sadly passed that. I know he probably wants to end on a win before he retires, but I don't know. Never going to hate Jan Blachowicz. Love that guy. Men's middleweight rankings, Roman Dolidze moves up to number 9, or number 8, I should say, passing Anthony Hernandez, who's now ranked at number 9. Middleweight division's getting a bit crowded. I can't lie. You got guys at the top, such as Sean Strickland, such as Israel Adesanya, who are coming off of some losses. And then you got your Jared Cannoniers coming off a win. Kyle Barallo, Roman Dolidze. It's a very conflicting division. I'll have to see how they matchmake everyone. The biggest jump, though, Sean Brady ranked number 1 in the world. Jumps 4 spots. Leon Edwards down to number 3. Usman and Jack Del Maddalena both get bumped down 1. Look for Leon. It doesn't get easier from here. You got Joaquin Buckley. You got Ian Gary. You got Carlos Prates. You've got Michael Morales. It's not going to get easy for Leon Edwards. Probably going to see a swift downfall of him. As for Sean Brady, dude's got to wait for a title shot. I mean, he has completely earned it. First man to finish, Leon Edwards. Usman couldn't do it. Covington couldn't do it. Even Bilal Muhammad, the champion, can do it, and yet Sean Brady could. Yeah, give this guy the title shot. For the men's lightweight division, Max Holloway passes Dustin Poirier from 5 to 4. Very interesting. Don't know if we're going to get some fight news with those two. I do believe in the next 3 months in the summer, you are going to be seeing Dustin Poirier's retirement fight against who is uncertain, but know. We'll have to keep our ears open. For the men's flyweight division, Kai Sakura is back in the rankings at number 15. Joshua Van is in at 14. Tagir Lembekov passes Tim Elliott from 11 to 10. We already mentioned Joshua Van. He's in the rankings. That's what I'm happy about. Now, here's the last interesting thing in terms of new UFC news, new UFC updates. Arman Tsarukyan has replaced Leon Edwards in the men's pound-for-pound rankings. Arman Tsarukyan is now ranked number 15. Now, I was a bit put off by it. I was a bit kind of like, why is he in there? And then as I'm looking through the rest of the divisions, I don't really know who else I would have put in there. I'm going to be honest, you got Nasruddin Imavov and Sean Brady, who both have finished guys who were previously in the men's top 15, but I don't know. It caught me a bit off guard that Arman Tsarukyan's in the top 15. I don't think it's a big deal that he is, but certainly it's weird to see, despite him rumoring to not even have the next title shot. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe he's taking on a Utopia. What do I know? I do think they're boys, though. But then again, I don't know what side of the mountain they both fall on. That's all your new UFC news and updates. That's all we got for that. I'll tell you something else, though. We don't just talk about UFC on this podcast. We also talk about movies and stuff, and I watched a movie with my good buddy Ryan the other day, and it was very surprising. Very surprising. It's called The Northman. You've probably heard of it. It is interesting. Got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, 82 out of 100 on Metacritic. Very torn on it. Stars Alexander Skarsgård as this Viking, almost is the best way to describe it. You also have Nicole Kidman. You have Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy. A lot of good actors in this. Lot of good actors. Do have to say, Klaus Bang, he plays the villain in this. Very good film. It caught me pretty off guard. I don't know what I was expecting going in, but it was intense. It was gritty. You have this basically Viking prince that is the main character. Amarith is his name. And his father is killed by his brother. His father is killed by his uncle, you should say, actually. The young boy. His father is killed by his uncle, and he basically vows to return one day and kill him. And basically it tells the story of that. Also finds love, and it has a very conflicting ending. I don't know how I really felt about it. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but it has a very specific type of ending, which I don't like for movies. I really feel like I should probably share it, so spoiler warning, actually. I was going to not do spoilers, but it's one of those movies where it ends with the villain and the good guy killing one another, and I just never really like those types of movies. Especially when they're just one-offs, like I've been attached to this character the whole film, they just dies. He also makes some really weird decisions towards the end, like abandoning his pregnant woman to go kill someone. It's very odd. Very odd. Now, I gave it a 7.3 out of 10. I thought it was decent. It was just a lot of witchcrafty vibes, which I wasn't really rocking with. It has gore, if you like that, but ending was kind of just like, oh, that's it. That's how it's going to go. It's a great movie of vengeance, great movie of barbarity, but I don't know. I was expecting a tinge more. I don't know what I thought the movie was. I feel like I thought it was just like, oh, this guy leads like a Viking war or something, and he takes over the throne of something. But no, it's nothing like that. It is very, very intense. Very intense. Almost, I wouldn't say realistic, because they mix in like stuff going on in his mind, almost like hallucinations with like reality of what's going on, which kind of messes with you as the audience. It's a movie I'd say you have to check out. I'd say you should check it out. Give it a go. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. You get the plot's pretty good, and it kind of ends. It ties into Norse mythology. You have Odin, you have Valkyries, you have these entities in the Norse mythology that seem to keep interweaving themselves in the story, such as ravens, for example. Well, I'll tell you, it gets pretty intense at the end. We're already in spoiler territory, but this guy, they do this weird scene where he kisses his mother, Nicole Kidman. It's very weird. They ends up killing his half-brother and his mother. It's wow. Just wow. A lot of scenes are making you question, like, wait a second, what's going on? And, it kind of starts good and then enters this weird patch where it's like, I'm not really feeling this. But that's also like, this guy's a barbarian raiding villages, yet he also, that isn't actually him. He's actually like cares about the common folk. I don't know. I don't know. It was a good movie. You're not getting a sequel. You're not getting offshoots. You're going to get what you're going to get. And Alexander Skarsgård, phenomenal in this role. Ethan Hawke was good on the screen. Nicole Kidman was great in this. Anya Taylor-Joy as the love interest worked perfectly. Double thumbs up for me. It's a movie I'll recommend, but nothing I'm going to go and rave about. That's what I'll say for that. The Northman, go check it out. 7 out of 10 if you want to round up my score. Now, last thing we did want to talk about before UFC Mexico was the Sweet 16. Like I said, games have already started. We already are knowing what's going on. Currently, Alabama's up by 20 with 3 minutes left. And if I had told you before this game that I thought Alabama was going to win, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Alabama over BYU, no surprise. No surprise. Actually, live stats right now, just to let you in on Alabama. Mark Sears has 34 points. That's utterly ridiculous. Aiden Holloway is 21. Chris Youngblood is 19. Grant Nelson, 10 boards, 6 points. Good stuff. For BYU, I don't know if the stats are correct on this. I think the stats are off for BYU, but Crimson Tide gonna advance. No shocker to me there. That's what's gonna happen there. Bama probably gonna play Duke. Okay, Duke and Arizona do play in about 30 minutes or so from when I'm recording this. I saw what Duke did in the first 2 rounds. I got Duke going to the championship. I'm going to be honest. It's going to take a Caleb Love upset. It's maybe going to take this Alabama team, but I just don't see anything slowing them down. I really don't. They've looked so impressive. So impressive. They have a 33-3 record. But I think they have the best record in college basketball. Florida might have a better one, if I'm not mistaken, but Duke plays Arizona. It's an easy pick of Duke for me, and when they play Bama, I'm going with Duke. That's what I'm saying. Duke's representing the Final Four of their side of the bracket. Now, also, Florida and Maryland is playing right now with 8 minutes left in the game. Florida is up 12. I'd have told you Florida was going to win this. I was really thinking of a Maryland upset, but the one reason I didn't go in my Sweet 16 predictions with a Maryland upset, it's just because how close their previous game was against Colorado State. Like, they really had to pull it out to win that. They had hit a buzzer beater with their best players, so no shocker for me. You got a couple of guys. You got 4. I'm pretty sure 4 of the Florida Stars are currently in double digits for points. 5 of them the 5th is on its way. Florida's going to be moving on to the Elite Eight, and it was not going to be a shocker for me. Now, the other game today, who will be playing Florida? You got Arkansas, Texas Tech, and this one is really interesting to me. This one I find really interesting. Arkansas, the 10 seed, Texas Tech, the 3. Great to see that either one of those numbered seeds are going to be in the Elite Eight. But Arkansas just knocked off St. John's. Close game, really had to pull through. And it really makes me think they can get past Texas Tech. I know Texas Tech is kind of those teams that sneakily makes a run. They're 27-8. They had very good games through their first 2. I'm actually trying to remember who they played in the first 2 rounds. Texas Tech kind of just snuck in here, if I'm being honest. It was kind of like, oh, Texas Tech, they're going to be in here. And I don't know. Let me actually double check real quick. Where is it? Texas Tech. Oh, they beat UNC Wilmington, and then they beat, was it Missouri? And then they beat Drake. Okay, so that wasn't actually that big of an upset, if I'm going to be honest. Texas Tech kind of had an easy going here. I think Arkansas shocks them. That's going to be my crazy prediction. Arkansas shocks them. Now, when Arkansas meets Florida, Florida's probably going to hand them the business. So I hate to send another 1 seed to the Final Four, but I think I got it. I'm going to be honest. I think I got it. I'm going to go with Arkansas to win against Texas Tech, but then, unfortunately, lose. That's just how I think it's going to roll. Now, as for Friday's games, probably most of you will be listening to this, we kick things off with Ole Miss and Michigan State. Did not have Ole Miss here. I'm going to consider them an upset team. If you're thinking of a Cinderella, you weren't expecting Ole Miss, the 6th seed in the Sweet 16, on no one's bingo card. Now, they're taking on number 2 Michigan State. Michigan State notoriously wasn't ranked before the season. I think no team's ever won or made the Final Four or something with that. I do think Michigan State gets past Ole Miss, but here's where they run to issue. It's the winner of Auburn and Michigan. The winner of Auburn and Michigan is representing the upper left side of the bracket in the Final Four. And I just really want upsets, but some just tells me Auburn's going to hand it to Michigan, and then when they get to Michigan State, they're going to absolutely blow them out. Okay, so whether it's Ole Miss, whether it's Michigan State, I think you're going to be seeing Auburn manhandle the state of Michigan in college. So Auburn, I'm having them go there too. I think it's going to be one of those years where everyone puts the 1 seeds in the Final Four, and shockingly, you actually get it. Now, as for the bottom right of our bracket, you have Purdue and Houston. I think Houston's the number 1 team to lose. I think number 2 was going to be Auburn. I kind of had Florida and Duke as locks, so no surprise Florida's going to advance right as we're recording this. Now, I don't think Florida's going to win. We already know that. So, in terms of Houston, Purdue's just one of those teams where people just wrote them off. They were going to be upset by High Point. Then they were going to be upset by McNeese, and instead they blow out both of those teams. They really didn't deal with much challenge in either of those matchups. Now, I will say Houston's much better than those two. So they are going from lesser skilled teams to Houston, which is where I actually think they run into an issue. Now, upsets are amazing, but it's just not an upset bracket. There's not an upset bracket. The lowest seed in the Sweet 16 was a 10 seed, which is not an upset. By the way, there was only 1 double-digit seed in the Sweet 16, which was a number 10 seed. So we're sending Houston to the Elite Eight. Here's where they run into a tough opposition. Winner of Kentucky and Tennessee. I'm going with Kentucky. I'm always just kind of rooted for Kentucky. Something about Kentucky, I'm always rooting for them. Maybe it's because Karl Anthony Towns went there. Love Karl Anthony Towns, but I'm going to be backing them. I'm going to be backing Kentucky to beat Tennessee. It's 50-50. Now, I think they have the best chances of a 2 seed being a 1 seed. Alabama's probably second for me of a 2 over a 1, but it's got to be here. Got to be here, Kentucky and Tennessee versus Houston. But when I see in my mind who's going to be in the Final Four, I do kind of get Houston vibes. I do get Houston, but Kentucky-Duke Final Four matchup would feed families. So that's something I really want to see, but I'm going with all 1 seeds to advance. You get Duke, Florida. Duke takes it home. It's the people's bracket. It's the majority bracket, but just seems to be the path we are heading towards. Is all 1 seeds making it. So as we record this, Alabama and Florida will be advancing to no one's surprise. Biggest upsets you could see, Arizona over Duke. I guess Arkansas over Texas Tech, that's not really an upset there. Kentucky, Tennessee, no upset. Purdue over Houston would be an upset. Michigan over Auburn would be an upset. And the biggest upset so far, I'm not even going to say Arizona over Duke. If Ole Miss makes it to the Elite Eight, there's your Cinderella. There's some team that you were not expecting it. And now they're there. So that's your little Sweet 16 rundown. Very brief, very casual. I'm excited to watch some of these games after I grind out my very hectic Friday. But before we get to any more games of the Elite Eight, we'll first be watching a little bit of UFC. That's right, UFC Mexico goes down this weekend. I'm excited. It should be good. We've got a lot of fights to get through. We really do. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Another 13 fight card. We did pretty good last week. Actually, I think we were on a little streak of 7-6 on predictions. So we got to spice it up. We got to go 13-0 on predictions. We're going to get ballsy. We're going to go in depth. Let's check out this card. Kicking off the card, we head to the men's lightweight division as Marquel Medeiros takes on Austin Thud Hubbard. Marquel Medeiros is 9-1. Austin Hubbard 17-8. Both men are 5'10", 2 inches in reach to Austin Hubbard, 71 inches to 69, an orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Kicking off the card, Marquel Medeiros minus 190, Austin Hubbard plus 160. Marquel, 28 years old from Colorado, currently rides a 7-fight winning streak. He has 6 knockouts of his 9 wins. He was actually supposed to fight Nazim Sadikov in July. Then he was supposed to fight Evan Elder in March. And now finally, he's stepping in on short notice to fight Austin Hubbard, long overdue. Marquel won his contract on Dan White's Katara Series in 2023 and had one lone fight in 2024, winning a unanimous decision over Landy Quinones in February. It has been over a year since he has last fought in, and now he's stepping on short notice to take on Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard, 33, also from Colorado, 7 finishes in 17 wins, 4 knockouts, 3 subs. Of his 6 losses, he's been submitted 3 times, and he was supposed to take on the Mexican favorite, Daniel Zellhuber. Unfortunately, Zellhuber had to pull out, and steps Marquel Medeiros. Now, Hubbard, it's hit or miss with him. Truly, I mean, here's a guy who in the UFC has gone 4-6, never amounted to much, never gotten a finish really, unless you consider an injury stoppage a finish. It's been rough going, and you know, he's recently lost a split decision to Alexander Hernandez in 2024, got submitted by Kurt Holloway, he's dropped decisions to Vink Pichel, been submitted by Joe Selecki. Austin Hubbard has left little to be desired now. This would be a fight he wins against some random Marquel Medeiros coming in on a short notice, but I'm going to back Marquel Medeiros. I've never really picked Austin Hubbard. He's never really shown out for me. This would be one fight where he sneaks me with like a grappling or distance striking split decision or something, but I think Marquel puts the pressure on him, channels that Mexican crowd. He's riding a big win streak. Hubbard hasn't rode a win streak in the last 5 years or something like that, so we're going to back Marquel Medeiros to kick off the card in this little lightweight affair. Moving from lightweight to featherweight, you get a little Jamal Pretty Boy Emmers action as he takes on Gabriel Fly Miranda. My pick's already locked in. Let me just tell you that right off the bat. Jamal Emmers, 20-8. Gabriel Miranda, 17-7. 5'11 to 5'10. Gabriel has 1 inch in height, 3 inches in reach. Go to Jamal, 74 to 71. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Let's start Jamal, man. Minus 220. He is the favorite for this contest. 35 years old from California. 11 finishes in 20 wins, 8 KOs, and 3 subs. Now, out of his 8 losses, he has been finished 5 times. 3 of those by KO, 2 by knockout. So it's been tough going at times. Now, Jamal, here's the thing. Tough debut, drops split decision to Giga Chikadze, beats a random, gets heel hooked by Pat Sabatini, then beats the undefeated Kusan Ashkabab, then drops the split decision to Jack Jenkins, then gets his first knockout. Knockout Des Bazukja in 49 seconds, then gets knocked out cold by Nate Landwehr in March of last year. So he's taken a year off, now he's back, we'll be rooting for him, Jamal Emmers. He's pretty entertaining. I will say the fact that he is 35 years old, he's in the latter stages of his career. This could be one of the last few times you see him fight. His opponent, the plus 180 underdog, Gabriel Miranda, 35 years old as well. Wow, he hails from Brazil, though. 17 wins, 17 finishes, 1 knockout, 16 submissions. Insane. Now, of his 7 losses, he has been knocked out 3 times. He's gone 1-2 in the UFC. He's been knocked out by Benoit Saint Denis. He's submitted Shane Young, and he's been knocked out by Morgan Cherie. So what are you going to get here? In my opinion, you get a Jamal Emmers knockout. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Abraham Miranda's chin is going to go bye-bye, and Jamal Emmers is going to be back in the win category. Now, this is as blatant as I tell you. I think this ends at round 1. Either Gabriel takes him down, submits him, or Jamal knocks him out. I'm thinking we're in Mexico. We got the elevation. We're going for some knockouts, folks. So Jamal Emmers kicking off the card with a W. Back in the men's lightweight division as Rafa Garcia, gifted, takes on Vink from Hell, Pushell. Didn't even realize that does rhyme. Rafa, 16-4. Vink, 14-4. 5'10" to 5'7". Pushell has 3 inches in height and 2 inches in reach, 72-70. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Rafa Garcia, the minus 485 favorite. Massive favorite for this one. Vink, plus 370. One of the bigger underdogs on today's card. Garcia, 30 years old, from Mexico. 1 knockout and 8 subs make up 9 of his 16 victories. And of his 4 losses, he's only ever been finished once. He was actually supposed to fight Joaquim Silva on this card. Instead, Vink Pushell took this on short notice. Rafa Garcia, let me just listen some of his losses. Nasrat Passerat, Chris Gutzmayer, Drakkar Klose, and most recently Grant Dawson, who TKO'd him. Now his wins, Clay Guida, Mahasha, Jesse Ronson, Nathan Levi. This guy is truly hit or miss. 4-4 in the UFC. Great opportunity for Rafa Garcia to really cement himself with a big finish here. I hope he can get one. But it won't be easy as he takes on the 42-year-old, the massive underdog, Vink Pushell. Hailing from California, 8 knockouts and 14 wins. And of his 4 losses, he's been knocked out once and submitted once. Now, he is on a 2-fight losing streak. Decision losses to Mark Madsen and Ishmael Bonfim. Last win actually came over Austin Hubbard in 2021. So, Vink, 42, past his prime. When we get to anything below middleweight and we got 40-year-olds fighting, I never pick them. It's kind of just a custom rule. I'm going with Rafa Garcia. I'm thinking he gets a finish. Look, he's the first Mexican fighting, I believe, if I'm going off of Tapology. We're going to root for Rafa Garcia. I still remember the beating he put on Clay Guida at, what was that, UFC Kansas? Was that UFC Kansas City, like 2023, I want to say? It was when Max Holloway fought Arnold Allen. Was that UFC Kansas? I think it was UFC Kansas City or something. It was pretty intense, and it was bloody, so Rafa Garcia, you're the person I'm picking. Following that, we get our first women's matchup of the evening. Actually, scratch that. Our only women's matchup of the evening. And the crowd starts to cheer, and they go loud, and they go, yay, we don't have to watch all the women fight. I'm obviously joking. Number 11th ranked Lupi Godinez takes on Julia Psycho Polastri. Is Julia ranked? No, she's not ranked, and I knew that. Lupi Godinez, 12-5. Julia, 13-4. Both women are 5'2". 2 inches in reach to Julia, 63-61. Orthodox stance for both of these ladies. Lupi, minus 180. Julia, plus 145. Lupi Godinez, been with the UFC for, a couple of years now. I'd say 2021's a couple of years. 31 years old, from Mexico. 3 submissions of her 12 wins. So, kind of a decision machine. Never been finished. It's been a lot of decisions. Last finish came in September 2023 at the Sphere. Interesting enough. Last 2 losses, Virna Jandiroba and Mackenzie Dern, both unanimous decisions. She's talented. She's good. She was originally supposed to be taking on Jasmine Jaraguay. Instead, on short notice, will step Julia Polastri. Julia Polastri coming into this one, 27 years young, from Brazil. 7 finishes in 13 wins, 4 knockouts, 3 subs. And, yeah. Interestingly enough, we'll see how she does. Julia has gone 1-1 in the UFC and 1-1 on Davis Contreras series. Has never done much. I think Lupi Godinez gets a submission here. It's long overdue. She's taking on someone of lesser competition. Lupi Godinez, we're going to be backing you. Second Mexican fighter of the evening. We're rooting for him. I love rooting for the hometown, the home crowd people who are fighting in their nation, if you will. I say hometown when we're talking about United States, but in terms of when we're fighting out of the country, out of the United States, a lot of these guys, their hometown if it's in their country. So, Lupi Godinez, rooting for you, and honestly, I think she'll get it done. Back in the men's featherweight division as Christian Rodriguez takes on Melquizael Melk Coffey Costa. I do not like the Melk-Coffee nickname, Melquizel. I think we've been over this. Christian, 12-2. Melquizel, 22-7. 3 inches in height for Melquizel, 5'10 to 5'7. Both men have a 71-inch reach. Southpaw stance for Costa. Orthodox for Christian Rodriguez. Christian, minus 180. Melquizel, plus 150. Christian Rodriguez is 27 years old from Wisconsin. 7 finishes in 12 wins, 3 knockouts, 4 subs. And of his 2 losses, he's only ever been finished once. And this guy is infamous, if you didn't know Christian Rodriguez, where he notoriously beats undefeated or one-loss up-and-comers and loses to anyone else. I kid you not. He has beaten Joshua Weems' first loss, gave Raul Rosas Jr.'s first loss, gave Cameron Saman his first loss, gave Isaac Delgarian his first loss, and gave Austin Bashir his first loss. His 2 losses, Jonathan Pierce and Julian Erosa. It is so comical. And this is finally a chance for him to break the curse. This is where you can flip-flop it, really put a stamp on everything, but it won't be easy because the guy he's taking on is carrying in a lot of momentum. The underdog, Melquizel Costa, 28 years old, from Brazil, 15 finishes in 22 wins, 7 knockouts, 8 submissions. Of his 7 losses, he has been finished in 4 of them. Now he's gone 3-2 in the UFC, and he's only ever been the distance once, and that was against Austin Lingo in 2023. Picked up 2 submission wins in his last 2 wins, one over Shaylin Nerdiambeek, and most recently fought February 22nd against Andre Fili, making a quick month turnaround. He had a round 1 guillotine choke in that one. Costa coming in with momentum. You already know we're picking him to not just win, but to submit Christian Rodriguez. That's why Melquizel Costa is just the perfect example of the type of guy that's going to come in and beat Christian Rodriguez, where it should make sense. Beat Austin Bashir, handed him his first professional defeat. Austin Bashir is very talented, good up-and-comer. He also lost to Julian Erosa. We're not going to forget about that. So I think Costa takes him down, submits him, does exactly what Julian Erosa did. We're going to be eerily similar, in my opinion. It's always comical when I see that. Now, here is where we get into some of these matchups where it's hit or miss for me. Middleweight division, Jose Daniel Medina takes on the silent assassin Ateba Gautier. What a name. Jose Daniel Medina, 11-4. Ateba, 6-1. 6'4" to 6 foot. Ateba has 4 inches in height. He also has 7 inches in reach. Switch stance for Gautier. Orthodox for Medina. Oh my goodness. Jose plus 400, the biggest favorite of the card, the minus 550, Ateba Gautier. He's actually tied with the biggest favorite now that I've just noticed that. Jose Daniel Medina, 33 years old, from Bolivia, 10 finishes in 11 wins, 8 knockouts, 2 subs. And of his 4 losses, he's been submitted once. Currently, lost on Davis Contender Series and lost his UFC debut in August to Zachary Reese. No idea why he's being brought back. Probably to gas up Ateba when he fights, but Daniel pretty much has been out-grappled in both of those, been taken down 11 times his last 2 fights, both of them losses. Doesn't really have the best build, doesn't have the best skill set. I don't know. It's these fights, though, when you take up and covers where you can really surprise everyone. But Ateba Gautier doesn't have a loss yet, so he does not fit the upsets of these undefeated fighters. He is 22 years old on a 5-fight win streak from Cameroon. 5 knockouts make up 6 of his victories. Dude, won on Davis Contender Series in September with a round 2 knockout. 48 significant strikes to 11. Absolutely dominated. We're going with Ateba. It's that reach, man. It's that 7-inch reach. He's got the size. He's got the explosiveness. He's got the youngerness to 11 years younger. There's got to be a stat when that pops up on the graphic when the fights appear, and it's going to be like fighters the decade younger win like 69% of all their matchups. But we're going to ride with Ateba. I like his name. We've been seeing a lot of upsets, but Jose Daniel Medina has left little to be desired. I understand Magomed Godzaluev and Zachary Reese are both talented, but I think Ateba pulls off the win here and gives the crowd a nice little finish. With that, we get into what I believe is the final prelim. Might be second to last prelim. I don't know. It's one of the final few fights. It's either going to open or close the main card. We're heading to the men's flyweight division for our next 2. First one, Edgar Cherez takes on CJ Vergara. Edgar minus 250, CJ plus 205. Edgar 11-6 with 1 no contest. CJ 12-6 with a draw. 5'7" to 5'6". Edgar has 1 inch in height and 3 inches in reach. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Edgar Cherez coming in to this contest, 29 years old, from Mexico. 11 finishes in 11 wins. How about that? 4 knockouts, 7 subs. 100%. Of his 6 losses, he has been submitted twice. Those are the only times he's been finished. Now, Edgar has had a very interesting run. He's 1-2 in the UFC with a no contest. Those losses are to Tetsuro Taira and Joshua Van. Do want to throw that out there. His one win is over Daniel Lacerda. Also lost on Davis Contender Series to Clayton Carpenter. I think it's just bad luck. I mean, come on. Tetsuro Taira is a top 5 flyweight in the world. Joshua Van is going to be top 10 by the end of the year. So let's not knock Edgar Jerez. By the way, none of those guys could finish him. Jerez is tough as nails, fighting in front of his hometown in Mexico. And by the way, 100% finish rate. He's getting one here for sure. CJ Vergara, I shouldn't say that after I've not even introduced the other fighter, but Vergara, 33 from Texas, 7 knockouts and 12 wins. He's been finishing half of his fights, 2 by sub, 1 by knockout. Currently was knocked out by Ramazan Temuriyov in October. He was dropped 3 times in 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So, yeah, tells me all I need to know. He's also lost out to Amabayev, Tetsuro Taira, and O'Day Osborne. Now, he did win Comeback of the Year in 2023, so he won that award. I gave that out to him, but other than that, last one in July of 2023 over Vincia Salvador. He's dropped some decisions to tough competitors, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be back in Edgar Jerez. I think he's as tough as they come, but if CJ Vergara pulls out a decision win, I would not be too surprised. But I think Jerez, just when I look at him and Joshua Van's fight, it was a war. That was a war, and Joshua Van really had to push through in that one. Jerez was landing some excellent punches, and I think if Jerez can maintain the cardio, maintain his composure, maintain his control, he can really pick up a victory here and advance his career in the men's flyweight division. Sticking with these flyweights, we get 2 more good up-and-comers. Ronaldo Lazy Boy Rodriguez, back in action since UFC 306, as he takes on Kevin El Gallo Negro Borjas. Okay, El Gallo Negro, I don't even know what that means. And I don't even know if I want to know what that means. Ronaldo, minus 150. Kevin, plus 125. Rodriguez, 17-2. Kevin, 9-3. 5'6", 5'5". Ronaldo has 1 inch in height. They both have an orthodox stance. And 3 inches in reach go to Kevin Borjas, interestingly enough. Ronaldo, 25 years young from Mexico. Currently on a 7-fight winning streak, interestingly enough. 12 finishes and 17 wins, 7 knockouts and 5 subs. And he's 2-0 in the UFC. Got a submission of Dennis Bonder. And most recently beat O'Day Osborne to open up that card at the Sphere. UFC Noche. Kind of an underwhelming performance against O'Day Osborne, I'll say, after being so electric at the press conference, but Ronaldo Rodriguez, he's action-packed. He loves to bring it, and I think we found a formidable opponent for him here in Kevin Borjas. Kevin Borjas coming into this contest, 27 years old from Peru, 8 knockouts in 9 career victories. He's been finished in 2 of his 3 losses, 1 by knockout, 1 by sub. Interestingly enough, he was slated to face Edgar Jerez at the Sphere before Joshua Van stepped in, so you could have actually seen Edgar Jerez on a bigger win streak here, oddly enough. Ronaldo, Kevin, look, Kevin has dropped his last 2. Weirdly enough, a loss to Joshua Van, as Joshua Van just beat every flyweight that we've discussed here. Also lost to Alessandro Costa in May of last year. Got TKO'd in round number 2. So, not really carrying in much momentum is Kevin Borjas. And yeah, Ronaldo Rodriguez, he's Mexican. He's good, and I'm definitely picking him. And I'd honestly pick him over the other 2 we had just mentioned, CJ Vergara and Edgar Jerez. I think Ronaldo Rodriguez has the charisma, the star power. He's just going to need to translate that into some very interesting striking when we actually get into the actual fight. So, we'll see how that plays out. Should be good. I don't know, a lot of flyweight action on this card. A couple fights here and there. Interesting. Been using that word a lot. Maybe I should cut it. This is guaranteed to be our main card. I think it's going to be a 5-fight main card, if I'm not mistaken. We're jumping up to bantamweight for the next 2. First one, David Black Spartan Martinez takes on Salmon Oliveira. Oh my gosh, I've already picked Dave Martinez. 11-1 for David, 18-5 for Salmon Oliveira. 5'5" to 5'4", 1 inch in height for David, and 5 inches in reach for Oliveira. Ooh, 72-67. Orthodox stance for both these gentlemen. David, minus 400, Salmon plus 310. Big underdog there. David Martinez, 26 years old from Mexico, 7-fight winning streak, 9 of his 11 wins by knockout. Coming off a win of a Dana White's Contender Series. David Martinez, good prospect, only young, 26. He's from Mexico, riding the win streak. You already know the crowd is going to be behind him fiercely cheering for David Martinez. That most definitely. Salmon, the underdog, 33 from Brazil, 16 finishes and 18 wins. Very nice, 5 KOs, 11 subs. Now, he has dropped his last 2. You know, he's been out of the UFC for 2 years now after losing to Tony Gravely and getting finished by Daniel Marco. So this is his big return to the UFC. Welcome back. Here's a big prospect. We're not picking underdogs here. No. Give me David Martinez. I love the Mexicanness. I love the 26-year-old. I love the win streak. I love the finishes. I think Dave Martinez is going to get this one done. And Dave, same as Oliveira, has been fighting guys on the regional scene. It's a whole different ballgame when you step into the octagon. And I think that he knows that. He'll come prepared, but it's going to be a close matchup. Following this fight, we get into what I like to call the Big Four. The Big Four, the 4 fights people actually are somewhat interested in. First off, the young gun, who's no longer a teenager anymore. It finally happened. Our boy is growing up as Raul El Niño Problema Rosas Jr. takes on Vince Vendetta Morales. Raul 10-1, Vince 16-9. 5'9" to 5'7". Rosas 2 inches in height. 3 inches in reach, though, goes to Vince Morales. Switch stance for Rosas. Orthodox for Vince Morales. Minus 310 for Rosas Jr. Plus 250 for Vince Morales. Raul, of course, was the young gun 17-year-old winning on Dana White's Contender Series. Then made his debut and got a finish at 18 years old. I mean, kid is incredible. He's 20 now, though. 20 years old, from New Mexico, but was born in California. Might be the other way around, actually. 8 finishes in 10 wins, 2 knockouts, 6 submissions, and ends on a 3-fight winning streak. Wins over Terrence Mitchell, Ricky Turcios. Very underwhelming performance at the Sphere against Algorquin, but Raul is truly showing that there are levels to the UFC, but he still has some other hurdles to climb before he can get to a top 15 opponent. Raul, one of my favorite young fighters in the bantamweight division. He wasn't my pick to be the biggest riser this year, but maybe next year, especially if he can get past Vince Morales in this one. The 34-year-old is from Nevada, 12 finishes and 16 career wins, 7 knockouts, 5 subs. Of his 9 losses, he's only been finished 3 times, twice by sub, 1 by knockout, but I won't lie. He's lost his last 4. Okay, this man has not won since December of 2021 over Louis Smolka. This man has just been dropping decisions left, right, and center. Didn't fight in 2023. Dropped a fight in 2024. Last fought February 2025. And Elijah Smith beat him. But it was pretty close. I can't lie. It was pretty close. However, we're in Mexico. He's feeding off the crowd. This guy starts super quick. Super quick. You gotta be careful with Raul. He will start pretty fast if you let him get going, and you already know we're picking Raul Rosas Jr. And I'd probably pick Raul against a numerous amount of guys. If you were to fight someone in the rankings today, I think he could beat. Going to be honest, I think he could beat Marcus McGee. Okay, Marcus McGee, maybe Kyler Phillips. I don't know. That might be too high for him, but Raul, I'm pretty confident in his abilities. I think he's going to bring the intensity. Definitely going to get a submission. I think he gets a submission this one because you got Elijah Smith taking this guy down 3 times. That was a super sloppy fight. Both guys were gassed. If Raul gets a hold of you, yeah, buddy, probably going to be game over. Moving into the next one, this one is going to be good. I'm excited for this one. This is a real test here. Middleweight division, Kelvin Gastelum, Joe Body Bags Pyfer. Love a Joe Pyfer fight. Been waiting for him to return. He's minus 550. Kelvin's plus 410. We got another heavy favorite. Kelvin, 20-9 with a no contest. Joe Pyfer, 13-3. 6'2" to 5'9". You get 5 inches a night for Joe Pyfer. That's no shocker for Kelvin Gastelum. He fought Adesanya. That was a crazy size difference. 75-inch reach to 71 in favor of Pyfer. And orthodox stance to the right matches up with a southpaw of the left for Kelvin Gastelum. We'll see how that one goes. Kelvin Gastelum coming into this one. Been a minute since we've seen him. 33 years old from Arizona. 10 finishes and 20 wins, 5 knockouts, 5 subs. And of his 9 losses, he's been finished 3 times. Last fought in June of 2024, where he picked up a win over Daniel Rodriguez. Now, that was a close fight. Can't even lie, that was a close fight. But I do want to just throw something out with Kelvin Gastelum, is that this man has fought in only the best. He's only lost to the best. Let me read you his UFC losses. Tyron Woodley, Neil Magny, Vitor Belfort, Chris Weidman, Israel Adesanya, Darren Till, Jack Hermanson, Robert Whitaker, Jared Cannonier, and the last one he lost, December 2023, Sean Brady. So I do want to say, crazy gatekeeper. Now, he's been out of the rankings for a while. I think since that Chris Curtis fight, that was the last time you saw Kelvin Gastelum. Failed stint at welterweight. He's back at middleweight, and what did they greet him with? None other than body bags. The man who beat Francis Ngannou's record on the punching machine. It's Joe Pyfer. Oh my gosh, this guy hits hard. 28 years old from Pennsylvania. 13 wins, 12 finishes. He's got 12 knockouts and 9 knockouts, 3 submissions. My bad. Of his 3 losses, he's been finished twice, both ways. Now, one of those, the knockout loss, that was due to injury. Came into the UFC 4 straight finishes. Then he had his first main event against Jack Hermanson a year ago in February, and he wins the first 2. Drops the last 3. By the way, boring, just distance striking the whole fight, but Joe Pyfer learned from that, came back, one of the craziest knockouts, minute 25 over Marc-Andre Barriault, UFC 303 last summer. Man, Joe Pyfer's good. Joe Pyfer's intense, and I'm talking about who would Raul Rosas Jr. beat if he was in the rankings. Joe Pyfer, I'm taking over the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'd even say 9, 10. Dude, I'm taking Joe Pyfer over a lot of guys at middleweight. Big fan of Joe Pyfer. Body bags is coming, not just for the win, not just for the knockout, but for that $50K performance bonus. Give it to him already. My prediction right there. Co-main event, good one at lightweight. True test of who could potentially get a ranked opponent in the future. What? Dead serious here. As you have Manuel El Loco Torres taking on Drew Dober. Drew Dober, no one ever gave Drew a nickname. Been with the UFC this long, no one ever gave him a nickname. Kind of a shame. Manuel Torres minus 115, Drew Dober minus 105. It's definitely even. Manuel 15-3, Drew Dober 27-14 with a no contest. This dude has so much experience. 5'10" to 5'8. Torres has 2 inches in height, 3 inches in reach. 73-70. Switch stance for Torres. Southpaw for Drew Dober. Manuel Torres, 30 years old from Mexico. 14 finishes and 15 wins, 7 knockouts, 7 subs, and all of his losses have came by finish. Mind you, he's lost 3 times. So there's that. Was knocked out by Ignacio Bahamondes at the Sphere, but honestly, that is aged pretty good. I think that's aged pretty good. I won't lie. Ignacio Bahamondes is now ranked number 15. Before that, he had gotten all finishes in round 1. So Torres coming in with some momentum. I do worry with Drew Dober. It may be too big of a jump again. I'm honestly, if you're losing to Ignacio, Drew Dober would have been a better stepping point to get to Ignacio. We'll have to see how that one transpires. But Torres, he's so far been good. We've seen the submissions. We've definitely seen the knockout power. I mean, come on, those knockouts of Frank Camacho and especially the Nicholas Motta one, brutal. Very, very brutal. This one should be a close contest. His opponent, Drew Dober, 36, from Colorado. 20 finishes, 11 knockouts, 9 subs. That's what I was looking at. So 20 of his 27 wins by finish. Of his 14 losses, he's been finished in half of them. And of those 7, he's been submitted 4 times. So 3 of them by knockout, 4 by sub. Drew, been with the UFC since 2008. And still looks like he's in his early 20s. Dude has insane genetics. Drew Dober last fought in July and lost to Gene Silva in a fight of the night. Mind you, it's Gene frickin' Silva. Before that, lost to Renato Moicano. Before that, beat Ricky Glenn. And before that, lost to Matt Provolo. He's also beaten Bobby King Green, Rafael Alves, Terrence McKinney. This dude is nonstop action. Alrighty, Drew Dober loves to bring it. He's always down for a scrap. And I'm gonna be honest. I know that Manuel Torres is very freaking good, but I think that this is too much for him. I'm going to be honest. I think Drew Dober solves the Manuel Torres case. I think Drew Dober hits harder. I think Drew Dober has more experience. And I think Manuel Torres may even get a little gassed and drop a decision to him. That's what I got going. Honestly, I'm going with Drew Dober over Manuel Torres. I've been picking the Mexican fighters all night. We got to spice it up with a foreigner. And it's going to be the white boy, Drew Dober. Give him to me, Drew Dober. With that, we get into our main event, and I can't lie, guys. Number 2 ranked, Brandon Moreno. Number 8 ranked, Steve Erceg. Very underwhelming main event. Not even going to sugarcoat it for you. It's pretty underwhelming. But Brandon Moreno, minus 195 is the favorite, plus 165. Steve Erceg is the underdog in this contest. There wasn't even a change in plans. This is the fight that was going to be made, but Steve Erceg is coming off of a knockout loss in round 1. Before that, lost to Alexander Pantoja. Don't really know how that constitutes giving him a main event opportunity, but I've seen worse people get main events, so not too mad about it. The Assassin Baby, Brandon Moreno, 22-8-2. You know him. Steve Astro Boy Ursig, 12-3. 5'8" to 5'7". Ursig has 1 inch in height. 2 inches of reach, though, go to Moreno, 70-68. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Brandon, the former men's flyweight champion, multiple times actually, is from Mexico, 31-year-old, has 16 finishes in 22 wins. Good stuff, Brandon. He's gotten 5 knockouts and 11 subs. And of those 8 losses, he's never once been finished. He's been close. He's a tough guy to put away. Do you want to say his last few losses? Brandon Royval, Alexander Pintoa, Devson Figueiredo. Yeah, this guy's only lost to the best of the best. Picked up a win over Amir Albazi in November, which was a huge shocker to everyone. Kind of a wake-up call that, hey guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still a killer. Won every single round over Amir Albazi. Brandon Moreno looked fantastic, like he hadn't skipped a beat, and it was a pretty night and day performance from the showing we got against Brandon Royval, which was a atrocious fight. His opponent, Steve Ursig, 29 years old, from Australia, 8 finishes in 12 wins, 2 knockouts, 6 subs, and he was originally supposed to fight Asum Abayev March 1st, but of course, Asum Abayev was offered to fight Manel Cape, and then this all transpired, and now this is where they're at. Now, Ursig has only been finished once, and it was in the last matchup against Kai Kara-France in August, where he knocked him out in round 1. Actually knocked him out with like 50 seconds left, which was pretty good. But before that, took Pantoja to a decision. Had some great moments against Alexander Pantoja in their championship matchup in 2024. Actually won 2 of the 3 rounds. Some people argued he had actually won. So Steve Ursig is legit, but I've seen what Moreno does to Kai Kara-France, and I'm now expected that he's supposed to be of some option to give a close contest to Brandon Moreno. I'm going with Brandon Moreno, and dare I say as ballsy to say Brandon Moreno gets a finish, and this has just been a constant this year. We've been getting fight night finishes left, right, and center. It's been a good year. Starting with Derns and Hebas, finish there. Adesanya Imavov, finish. Kanye Rodriguez, finish. Cejudo Song, finish. Cape Almobayev, finish. Vittorio Delize, don't talk about it. Edwards Brady, finish. You're getting another finish here. I'm loving it. Give it to me. Give me a Brandon Moreno round 2 submission. Brandon Moreno in round 2 gained the submission of Steve Ursig. That's my ballsy pick. Last week I called Sean Brady submitting Leon Edwards. Everyone was like, you're crazy, Zach. I'm not crazy. I know ball. So we're going with Brandon Moreno, but not really too interested in this card. Lexi's visiting this weekend. There's also some other sports on, and I don't know. I'm not going to say the UFC's been putting out bad fights. I still will watch this, probably throw it on the background. But in terms of excitement, I'm really waiting for that UFC 314 card, especially. Eminem Murphy doesn't give me much interest. Jamal Hill's fighting Khalil Roundtree? I completely forgot about that. I'm down for that. Corey Sandhagen and Davidson Figueiredo I'll watch. Bilal Muhammad, Jack Dema. Dude, I have completely forgotten about fights that are booked right now. I can't even lie. We actually have some heaters coming up. I'm just being a negative Nancy. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for today's episode. A little movie review, little March Madness talk, and of course, our UFC Mexico predictions. And hey, wish me luck on my competition tomorrow, guys. I'm not too nervous, gonna be honest, but I just think, if you're ever nervous about something, it means you actually care about it. So, leave that advice. Do with that advice with what you will. So, when we come back, hopefully we're better on predictions. On the year, we are, 78-43. So we're plus 31. Not too shabby. Guys, have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing life. I love each and every one of you. You have the best day ever. And as always, I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.